Shalom, my dear friends. A pleasure to be here. A pleasure to learn Torah together. We are speaking now in the great Torah, the great teachings of Likutei Maran, the great teachings of Rabbi Nachaman of Breslov. We're putting a lot of focus on these Torahs, on these teachings, because in a world of challenge, in a world where we're seeking light, in a world where we're seeking guidance, in a world where we're seeking direction, we look at the great luminaries. These are the people that dedicated their entire life, that through challenge and through adversity were able to hold on to light, were able to hold on to vision, and that vision could pierce through challenging times of darkness. And we're learning now a very interesting section of the teachings of Rabbi Nachaman of Breslov, and that is to be careful about machlokas, to be careful about making argument and making very powerful challenge. And it's very apropos that it's this time now during Parshas Koirach, the one who made machlokas, the one who was cholek, the one who separated himself from Moshe Rabbeinu, the one that made big problems. And we're going to go into this world now because this entire Torah, and we're so thankful to the Chevra from Kol the Torah's Chaim and Latal the Torah and Breslov Research Institute. These should be household names, my friends. I give tremendous thanks to these wonderful organizations that are trying so much just to spread light into the world and to spread the light of the great tzaddik, Reb Nachman. So, this Torah is about finding guidance, about finding direction in life. So I'm going to read a few words of this Torah. So it says Rabbi Nachman, we want to find guidance and direction. The bechinas mai mamukim eitza belev ish. We want to find an eitza. An eitza means direction in life. Now it's interesting, the same word for eitza, the same word for direction is the word for an eitz, for a tree. What do people here feel the connection is between advice and the tree? People can write responses. Also, it's very beautiful when people share where they're writing from. It's beautiful to see that chevra from all over the world come to learn with us and to ask questions. What is the connection between eitza, which means guidance, direction, and eitz, a tree? So people could share their thoughts if they would like. So there's very, very deep waters. Mai mamukim, eitza belev ish. And those deep waters inside the heart of man form the direction, form the guidance. That's the verse from King Solomon. King Solomon, the wisest of all men, teaches us that Mai Mamukim, and people could look this up. Look up Mishlei, which is the Proverbs 20, verse 5, which states, Mai Mamukim eitza belev ish. So what are these waters? So it says Rabbi Nachman, Ve'elu amayim heim bechinas machloikes. The waters deep inside of my heart, there are the waters of disagreement. Now, why are the waters something of disagreement? So he quotes here from the Torah, from Bamidbar, Mei Meriva, quoting what's called Mei Meriva, the waters of disagreement. This was the place where there was disagreement, Mei Meriva, where Moshe Rabbeinu was asked to speak to the rock. But what did Moshe Rabbeinu do? He did not speak to the rock, but rather he hit the rock. And what came out of the rock? Water. But these were the waters, the Mei Meriva of disagreement. So already we see a biblical connection to disagreeing and waters. Valkein machloikis nikra pelugta. A machloikis is called a pelugta, a disagreement, which is bebechinas peleg elokim molemayim, that the stream of God is full of water. So a stream is called a stream, which is a peleg, which also means to separate. And a disagreement is called water, and water is called a separation. But it's fascinating, because usually water is not associated with something separating. I would have thought, and I'm presenting this for everyone, isn't water something which is that which blurs distinction, that which does not separate, it actually unifies? If something is soaked in water, the thing starts breaking down. It starts not remaining a separate entity, but it starts dissolving and it starts becoming unified as one. I would have thought that water is something that unifies, does not separate. So this is something that needs to be thought about. Now, by the way, my friends, when you're learning Rabbi Nachaman, there's so much here that needs to be unpacked. So often what we like to do is let's put a few pieces on the table. Let's put a bunch of content on the table, information, and then let's go through it and let's think about it. Let's start to take the ideas and put them in my mind and move them this way to that way. So says Reb Nachman, Ki mikol machloikes nasas sefer. When a person gets into a disagreement, he starts writing a book. Now, how does he write a book because of a disagreement? What are the thoughts on writing a book based on a disagreement? Well, when there's a disagreement, you want to write something about that. You want to write your feelings on the matter. If you agree with something, you may not need to feel like you need to chime in. But when you disagree with something, then you feel very, very strongly, I want to write about this. I want to write a letter about this. I'm going to now voice my opinion on the matter. And therefore, through machloikis comes a sefer. Bebechinas shelos v'tshuvas. Shelos v'tshuvas mean a response, that somebody asks a question, and then there's a response that's given. These were the most famous of books written by the great sages, is that a question would come up. Here's a good one for you to think about. Is electricity permitted on Shabbos, on Shabbat? Well, we know that we cannot build fire, but is electricity considered fire? Is that called building a fire on Shabbos? The Torah says, Lo yisavara eish b'chol moishvei seichem. You're not allowed to kindle, to build a fire. Is electricity, is turning on a light, building a fire? So the rabbis wrote response about this and voiced their thoughts on the matter and voiced their opinions on the matter. And they started to speak about this. There's responsa that came out. Ki hamachloikas hi sheila v'kushia. The machloikas is that something comes up, something is put forward, and then there's now questions on the matter. And let's speak points out. Let's think about it. Shemakshim v'shoilan alav. And you should know that you think once one rabbi writes a responsa, that every single person is just going to accept that? People are going to write their own response on the matter. What about a Tesla? Can you drive a Tesla on Shabbos? What about a self-drive Tesla? I don't have to push any buttons. Let's say I program the Tesla before Shabbos, and the Tesla opens up the door for me, and the time that I need to go into the Tesla, I'm just sitting there, I look at my watch, 10 a.m., time to go to shul. The Tesla opens up the door, I go into the car, and the Tesla closed the door behind me, and I head to synagogue. Is that permitted? Well, these are things that are going to come up as the generations go on. Is that in the spirit of Shabbos? Should we be going into the car on Shabbos? Even though maybe it's technically not fire. Maybe it is fire. Maybe electricity is like closing a circuit, like the Chazon Ish said. It's like building. You're building something. You're building a circuit. These are questions that there's responsa, and then responsa to the responsa, and it becomes a discussion a lively discussion about, in our example right now, electricity on Shabbos. What's the role? What's the use? Is it permitted? Not permitted? For who's Shabbat Tshuva? And there's responses. And people start to have their own opinions on the matter. I would venture to say when people are writing and people are voicing opinion, they're sharing what they feel. They may agree with something, they may disagree with something. There's something though that's important about a feeling that's expressed, that a person can express that feeling. They could share that feeling. They have a space. A shaila and a tshuva is the ability that there's a topic and I can voice my opinion on the matter. I could share what I think on the matter. You're making space that people can have opinions and voice their opinions. Now, what's important about this is that once somebody is able to have an opinion in the matter, and I think this is what Nachaman is really trying to get to. When I have an opinion in the matter, my opinion in the matter means something because the other person's opinion means something. I'm only voicing an opinion because I value that someone said something that had value and importance. I'm not going to chime in and voice an opinion if I don't even feel that the thoughts that were presented are worthy of having an opinion. I think this is important to meditate on, because I think this is we call the lumdus, which is the inner mechanics of what's happening here. If somebody is voicing an opinion, and I don't even feel that opinion means something, we would say in yeshivish, I'm not even gores that opinion. So then why should I voice an opinion? I'm not even gores the opinion. I just kind of move on with life as if everything is fine and dandy. But that's not the case. If I really believe that what that person is saying has value, and therefore I want to present my feelings on the matter, because I feel that weighing in with an opinion is meaningful, that weighing in means something. And therefore, I create a shilas and shuvas. So back to our example. If I never felt that the question of is electricity a topic to be spoken about, I would never even weigh in and write about it. But the fact that I feel that it's a question that's worthy of weighing in on, I write my thoughts and share my opinions on the matter, which really means by me writing my opinion, I'm weighing in and giving value to the other person's opinion. I'm saying that your thoughts are meaningful. I value your opinion on the matter. I want to weigh in and share my feelings on the matter. So therefore, through these tshuvot, says Rabbi Nachaman, now all of a sudden more books start coming out in the world. At present, there are numerous books. And we like books. I think people call us the people of the book. We like books. But I want you to know, my friends, the books are not like here. This is also a book. Yes, we treat books with respect. But we're talking about the oral tradition. The books are in here, is that you're uncovering and you're revealing that the Torah is alive inside your heart, and that you're writing books based on that content that's bubbling inside of you, that content that is bursting forth from your soul. That's where the books are really being written. Kisva maluach libecha, they're being written on the parchment of your heart. They're being written in your soul. So yes, the books on the outside are saying that we're writing, and this goes back to the beginning of the Torah that we were writing about. That by writing, we give power to Ksav Yodeinu. By emunas chachamim, we're giving power to Ksav Yodeinu. That emunas chachamim means that I'm connected to the Chachma, I'm connected to a higher reality, I'm connected to a higher truth. And then I value Chachma, and I value Chachma that's coming all the way back from the source. That's the Emunas Chachamim, and that gives power to Ksav Yodeinu. And therefore, the Shilas and the Tshuvas have meaning. And Rav Moshe Feinstein's Tshuvas have meaning. And Rashi's words have meaning and power. And therefore, let us meditate now on this point of when I value Chachma, when I value the words of the tzaddikim, I'm writing about it, I'm thinking about it. So now I'm improving Ksav Yodeinu. And we said that while you're writing, that's purifying the air, the power of Eretz Yisrael. And Reb Nachaman is now saying that we want to be writing these books. And it'd be beautiful if everyone here could write books. You could write books. You could write books from your heart. You could weigh in on what matters in life. Really what matters. You could start writing and sharing. And where are you getting your content from? You're getting it from Chachma, getting it from a higher source. You're not getting it from, God forbid, Chachma that's split off. You're getting it from Neis Hashem, the Chacham of all the Chacham. So Reb Nachman now brings it back to the Chachamim. Before a person had Emunas Chachamim, so all the Sfarim out there, he sees books on a shelf. He's like, they don't mean so much to me. He walks into a holy library. It's like, yeah, you know what? Not so chashuv. They don't mean so much to me. I see Shas. I'd rather read the gossip magazines. I see Rashi on Chumash. I see some of the Chaver are mentioning today about Rashi. Rashi, my friends. Rashi, I'd rather read the Sunday Times. But once I have Emunas Chachamim, those books become very, very chashuv. I don't know if anybody here, my friends, did you ever go at a bookshelf? You looked at a bookshelf of holy books, and at one point in your life, you're like, these things are just collecting dust. And maybe you saw like actually a Torah over there, a Bible, and you thought like, what does that have to do with me? And then years later, you looked at that same Torah, and you said, you know what, this has a lot to do with me. And those books took on meaning. So you went from not having emunah in the Chachma to now you have emunah in the Chachma. You connected. You see something about the Chachma that I want to connect to that Chachma. I want that Chachma. Those books now become meaningful. This is a very, very important part, is that we want to find meaning in the Chachma, my friends. And therefore, says Reb Nachman, Ki ayam malig aleim, Kamaisha Kosev, quoting again from King Solomon. You'll notice we're very big fans of King Solomon. That's right, King Solomon means Shlomo HaMelech. Who was King Solomon? King Solomon was the son of David, and King Solomon built the first Beis HaMikdash, the first temple in Jerusalem. And I want to point out, my dear friends, that people think, what is this temple in Jerusalem all about? The temple in Jerusalem is all about a house of peace and a house of prayer for all the nations. It's a place of unification. It's a place where we could all be connected under the one God. I was speaking to my father recently a lot about this, that it's so important. And the world, I feel, is missing really what the Jewish message is. And the Jewish message is that we want peace and we want unity, that we'll all be together under the oneness of God. All of us together under the oneness of God. And that's what the Beis HaMikdash is. The Beis HaMikdash is the portal where heaven meets earth. Think about that for a second. Beis HaMikdash is the portal where heaven and earth, and it's described this way by the sages in the oral tradition, the Beis HaMikdash is where heaven and earth kiss. The Beis HaMikdash is where there's an embrace from heaven and earth. That if ever a person felt that the heavenly world was disconnected from me, and I'm just like running around in my rat race, And I have to point out, it's always beautiful. I heard today from my dear friend and mentor, Rabbi Ber Cohen, and whom I love tremendously and have a tremendous respect for his chachma. So he always points out that somebody who's in the rat race, so even if they win the rat race, well, there's still a rat. So even if you win the rat race, there's still a rat. So important to remember that this is the place that heaven and earth kiss. That's the Beis Hamikdash. That's the place that heaven and earth are coming together. That's the Beis Hamikdash. And that if a person ever thought, do I really have a connection to the heavenly realm? Am I really connected to heaven? So when you would come to the Beis Hamikdash, you would see open miracles. We're taught in Pirkei Avos that there was 10 open miracles in the Beis Hamikdash. That if a person would ever think that, you know what, I'm not sure, heaven and earth really connected. I don't know. I feel disconnected. I'm in the rat race. When you would come to the Beis Hamikdash, when you would come to the Holy Temple in Yerushalayim, you saw open miracles. Open miracles means it's absolutely clear that the Beis Hamikdash is the universe, the space where heaven and earth are meeting, and that I'm connected to the heavenly realm, and I'm connected to the Beis Hamikdash. So the one who built the first Beis Hamikdash is King Solomon. So now we're seeing his words. So King Solomon said, and we're speaking about holy books, Asoy Sfaram Harbe Ein Kates Velahag Harbe. King Solomon says, we learned before from Proverbs, from Mishlei. This is from Koheles. I think they translate Ecclesiastes. I think you need a translation for Ecclesiastes, but it's Koheles. Koheles was the last of the books that King Solomon wrote, Ecclesiastes. Asoy Sfaram Harbe. Many books, the making of many books is without limit. And much ridicule. He ridicules the increase of books and considers all the meaningless. Oh, that's the beginning of the story, is when a person thinks that the holy books are not meaningful. If he thinks that they're just, what are all these dusty books on the shelf? And he ridicules them. But when a person does tshuva and he says, you know what? That there's so much depth and there's so much meaning. We're speaking literally right now about a holy book. We're speaking about two of them. We're speaking about King Solomon's writings, who's called the wisest of all men. And these are books that were written through prophecy, books that are written with Ruach HaKodesh, with Holy Spirit, that you can fuse into those holy books. That's a very, very powerful opportunity. A person could read anything. He could read the Sunday Times. He could read all sorts of trashy stuff, or he says, you know what? I think with my time, I'd like to read the words of King Solomon, the wisest of all men. The wisest of all men. I think that would be prudent to choose to read the words of the wisest of all men. That would be learning the Proverbs, learning Koheles. And Koheles was the last of the holy books that King Solomon wrote. Asoy Sfarim Harbe Ein Kates V'lo Garbe Dahainu Shema Legal Ribui Sifreim Vaz Kulam Koloi Eitzloi. They become like nothing. V'kisheshav b'tshuva al zeh. But when a person does tshuva on this, when a person, tshuva means I come back to real identification with the topic at hand, as I nischadish eitzlei b'kol pam sefer. So now I have real opinions about Koheles, real opinions about the Proverbs. I have what to say, I have what to share, I have what to speak and express to the world about these topics. Now these books took on meaning. I now can have an opinion on the matter because I'm giving meaning to these books. And now I start writing my own books. I start sharing. It's a very, very powerful thing. Once I start connecting to holy books, I now write my own books. And really what this Torah is all about is once I'm connected to the Chachma, once I'm connected to points of higher consciousness, I now have my own opinion on the matter. You don't become less. Just follow the leader, follow the rabbi. No, it's about now how can I see value in the Chachma, and now I want to weigh in with my opinion on that Chachma, my feelings on that Chachma. How can I share and be part of this journey of Chachma, of wisdom going forth in the world and connecting myself back to the Chachma? Ki choizim v'niskad shemeitz like kol asfaram shebatchila haya be'enav koloi. All these holy books that in the beginning did not seem to have meaning, now they take on tremendous meaning to him. V'hakol lefi hamachloikis. Ki hakol mistakel misboin b'machloikis v'pnei ma hem cholkim kach be'elo advarim v'loi ba'ofen achem. And this is all commensurate with the dispute points that we encourage dispute. We've mentioned this before. Come to yeshiva. Come see that yeshiva is a place that you literally can voice your opinion. You could share. You could express. I very much miss being with all the students in person in Yerushalayim. There's so many more now that are flocking, that want to be in Yerushalayim, that want to learn Torah, and that want a place that they can just grow and think. And you could be in yeshiva anywhere. Anywhere. You could be in yeshiva, which means I'm sitting. Yeshiva is also the same word as tshuva. I'm sitting and I'm voicing opinions on the matter. And I'm weighing in because people's opinions matter. And I want to now share my opinion on the matter. This is a holy machlokas. This is good machlokas. This is powerful. Good discussion. Ve'elo adiburim v'loi ba'oifenach ve'al de'zem is boinen ech loshe b'tshuva. That from emuna in the chachma, from that place where the machloikas is starting from, which is good machloikas, and it's good to see that the Chevra is sharing about connecting to the words of the prophets. Micha, yes, Rebbe is a prophet. Connect to the words, connect to the prophets. Very, very powerful. Connect to the prophets. Connect to their words. But always remember to learn the words of the prophets with the oral tradition. The oral tradition is essential to even reading the words of the prophets. You can't even begin reading Yechezkel, Isaiah 53, without the oral tradition. So always remember to read the words of the prophets with the oral transmission. He's coming back. He's coming back to connecting to the words of the tzaddikim. So he starts now writing his sefer. He's writing. He's connecting. Because before he wasn't writing anything. He didn't even feel that those opinions were worthy. But now the fact that those opinions are worthy, he's now writing about them. He's thinking about them. He's connecting. He's voicing his own opinion. And then there's response to that. And then he writes a response. And more holy books start going forth in the world. As he's coming back to connecting with the words of the sages, with the words of the prophets, he's doing more tshuva. He's getting more connected to their words. And therefore more svarim are going out in the world. Those things which did not mean something now do mean something. And he's writing about it. And he's writing books. Is now we're going to read from Eov. Rabbi Nachaman is a master at quoting from the sages. He's in the transmission. Sefer Kosav Ish Rivi. And let the one who argues with me write a book. I love. That's from the book of Job or Job. Some people pronounce it differently. 31:35. Let the one who argues with me write a book. I love that. Let the one who argues with me write a book. Jacob Tuweiner. Let the one who argues with me write a book. Write a sefer. Weigh in. Have thoughts. Speak things out. This is Emunas Chachamim. Is that now I'm giving value to it. I'm sharing. It's so important to have an opinion, to weigh in on it. And now that I'm connecting to the Chachamim, I'm weighing in. More holy books are coming out. You're writing your own books from your own heart. This is what it's all about. My dear friends, a pleasure to be learning. We're in the middle of this topic. I hope we can go more into this topic. This is the so much the meat and potatoes, and for the raw foodies, this is the acai berry smoothie of the Indian, of really getting involved in holy discussion as opposed to negative machloikas. There's holy machloikas. It says that being in the base medrash is a holy machloikas. We mentioned this before. It's called the Melchamta Shel Torah. That there's a war that we believe in. That's called a war of Torah, a war of learning, a war of speaking out ideas, fighting for truth, having an opinion voice, defending your opinion. And I want to just present this and to really meditate on this. We live in an interesting world now where people say, just, this is my truth. Accept my truth. Well, if you really believe in it, you have to be willing to defend it, to defend truth. What we do in the base midrash is we sit there and we defend truth. And if your chavrusa says something more intelligent than you, that you're so open to truth that you could say, you know what? I really believe that your idea makes more sense than me. I acquiesce to that, and I'm going to listen to that truth that you're presenting because I'm going to use a yeshiva term. You slugged me up. Your opinion is more sensible. It's more rational. That the truth is more crystal clear the way you're presenting it. And I'm unable to defend my thoughts on the matter. And therefore I acquiesce because I'm not in it about me. I'm in it for truth. I'm in it for connecting to the Chachma. So coming to the base medrash, we welcome everyone. Just be willing to defend truth. And that was something very beautiful coming to yeshiva, is that there was a place where everyone could voice their opinion, but your opinion could be challenged, and that we're mature enough that we're open to have challenges of our opinion. I remember I came to yeshiva and I was voicing all sorts of opinions. And one of the rabbis said, I hear the point you're making, but I think that it's incorrect because of 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons. And now he put the ball in my court. Can you defend these 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons? Some of them I could, some of them I couldn't. And I had to go back to the drawing board. Is the opinion that I presented maybe not as correct as I thought because I had 1, 2, 3, 4 opinions that seem very rational rebuttals to my thoughts. And I can only respond to thoughts 1 and 4, but 2 and 3, these are very strong points. Maybe I need to reconsider how things are being presented. And some of the things I could defend. 1, 2, 3, 4 rebuttals to and I had 1, 2, 3, 4 rebuttals to there. And not only that, I had 5, 6, 7, 8 rebuttals. And I had to force the other person to think about how they're presenting the issue. But there's a real discussion. This is what it means we're writing books together, my friends. We should be zeicha. We should have the great merit of writing books, of having emunas chachamim. We're going to speak more about this topic. We should be zeicha, my dear friends. We should see tremendous power of the Melchamta Shel Torah, because when there's a war of Torah, there doesn't need to be physical war. We can have the spiritual war of we're all fighting for truth. And we have much blessing, all of us. May we be zeicha, my dear friends, to much blessing, to Meshit Tzidkenu, and to the Binyan Beis HaMikdash. May it come soon in our days. Amen ve'amen.